Episode 5 of Alien, Earth takes a pause from the action on the research island of Neverland after the events of Episode 4, which discloses that Wendy, the first-ever hybrid produced by Boy Cavalier's business prodigy, can interact with xenomorphs. Alien, Earth Episode 5 sets the stage for the rest of the outstanding Hulu series, which is already being hailed as a sci-fi classic. The fifth episode of Alien, Earth, which is named after the original 1979 film's tagline, "In space, no one can hear you scream," also discloses that Morrow was a father before becoming a cyborg. Unfortunately, Morrow discovered during the Maginot's 9th year's voyage that his daughter had passed away in a house fire at the age of 19. This key backstory detail explains why Morrow has put everything into his mission of returning the specimens to Yutani, no matter the cost. Despite Morrow's initial suspicion that Rahim and the robot Ting were saboteurs on board the Maginot, Petrovich, the chief engineer, turns out to be the real conspirator. The fire and explosion he put off freed 2 xenomorphs, even though he had no intention of releasing the alien specimens because he would be prey like the rest of the crew. However, the other aliens who managed to escape did so by employing their own cunning and clever survival techniques. Ting informed Morrow that a cryopod is not necessarily full merely because the mother computer indicates it is. This indicates that Petrovich fled his pod while feigning cryosleep and somehow compromised the computer to avoid detection. Petrovich ignited the fire and triggered the explosion while hiding inside the ship's mechanical sections. It seems that the Ting opted to remain silent despite knowing about the sabotage and withholding this information. Petrovich set fire to the engine controls of the Maginot and then blew a hole in it. According to Adam Ince, these failures have stripped the Maginot of any navigational control, transforming it from a spacecraft to a missile and eventually an arrow aimed at Earth. Boy Cavalier promised Morrow a huge payout if the Maginot landed inside his territory, and Morrow learns that this is precisely what Petrovich had planned when he staged the crash landing. In a video call recorded in the Maginot's digital records, Petrovich made a deal with Boy Cavalier, who allowed him to crash the spaceship into Prodigy City, knowing that it would kill thousands. Petrovich told Boy Cavalier about the alien specimens behind the backs of his Weyland-Yutani crew, and the only way to guarantee that the specimens would fall within his territory was to crash the ship into Boy Cavalier's kingdom. Petrovich has told Boy Cavalier about his frustrations with the crew, the mission, and the red tape as a Weyland-Yutani employee, but Cavalier has ignored him. He was primarily motivated by the money he would make by sabotaging the Maginot's mission and bringing it onto Prodigy's turf. Petrovich also wanted a new body, apparently hearing somehow about Prodigy's hybrid innovation that gave birth to Wendy and the other lost boys. Packed into Earth, knowing that all he could do was hold on for dear life. Episode 5 of Alien, Earth has the most spectacular and iconic xenomorph chase sequence in the entire series. After the majority of the crew has perished, a shaken Captain Zaveri enters her own survival mode and runs away from a fully grown xenomorph, only to be slain by it in the first episode. Zaveri's terrible death scene from Episode 1 is replayed following a titanic battle between the eyeball specimen and a xenomorph. She knocks on a security pod door, but Morrow refuses to let her in. To give himself time to prepare for the Maginot's impact on Earth, he truly seals the entrance shut. Being aware that his only option was to cling on for dear life. Morrow's choice to use Zaveri as bait for the xenomorph was cold-blooded and well thought out, despite the fact that he is humanized more than ever in Alien, Earth Episode 5. Instead of watching out for the other crew members, his job was to contain and preserve the specimens. As the security officer for the Maginot, Morrow had a responsibility to leave Zaveri behind, even though he may not have wanted to. In any case, it would have been useless to try to save Zaveri because the impact room could only accommodate one of them. Since her grandma kindly took him in and gave him a new arm, replacing his palsied one and turning him into a cyborg, Morrow is also shown to be incredibly loyal to Yutani in the closing moments of Alien, Earth Episode 5. In addition, he told Yutani that Prodigy should not be trusted and swore to assassinate Boy Cavalier. Future episodes of Alien, Earth will feature a bloody Prodigy vs. Weyland-Yutani clash headed by an unfettered Morrow, as the only option to recover those specimens will be by using force. The exact mood of the 1979 original film directed by Ridley Scott. The fifth episode, however, is a short, TV-sized alien episode that doesn't feel at all made for TV. The prologue gave the Maginot a sense of life, with enough distinct personalities and intensity to give us the impression that we were in media res, as I had stated in my pilot recap. In addition to succeeding in all the ways a good TV show should, such story pacing, outstanding acting, and most importantly, Bobo Cisse, in space, no one defies its own boundaries as a prequel that manages to keep viewers interested despite all of its twists and turns. This ship has already crashed and burned in New Saigon. Morrow is the sole survivor, as we already know. However, it doesn't lessen the impact of several crew deaths. The show's gory scenes are also just as nasty. Bugs creeping over exposed organs, contaminated water bottles, alien, Earth is turning into a haven for entomology enthusiasts. Yes, the Alien series has always been gruesome and brutal, but it has never been repulsive. The show that made aliens' view of space feel overtaken by parasites and spooky crawlers, Alien. Earth, is gradually coming into its own. It serves as a useful reminder to restock bug repellent if we're running low.